If collecting is your love,
I want more.
That's not true. He likes me because I'm loud and a brat and he can make me shut up later. Oh, I wish I didn't say that out loud.
Oh, the hits just keep on coming.
Stream so that I have a good looking head. When you say website, I don't think action figures. Thomas! Thomas! You and I need to have a conversation. You and I need to have a conversation because on the back is numero uno. I love this book. I love it.
Always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. Before you get excited, that's a tail. The turtles had tails. Yeah, that's a tail. Thank you for pointing that it is a tail. That's a tail. The original turtles had tails. DCD Collects proudly presents signed, certified, and delivered. Each envelope has one 9.8 Sig Series comic book graded by CGC. These are hand-picked for you. 7 out of 10, my lord. It could take 6 months of being constipated before they die from the buildup. Not just any Iron Man. The Iron Man that saved us all.
in the box.
Doug! It's the captain!
And I gotta say, that shield was pretty fun to paint too. It's chunky.
It is chunky.
Chunky with the oil paint.
Yeah.
Call on me and collect with DCD. If collecting is your love,
I want more.
That's not true. He likes me because I'm loud and a brat and he can make me shut up later. Oh, I wish I didn't say that out loud.
Oh, the hits just keep on coming.
Stream so that I have a good looking head. When you say website, I don't think action figures. Thomas! Thomas! You and I need to have a conversation. You and I need to have a conversation because on the back is numero uno. I love this book. I love it.
Always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. Before you get excited, that's a tail. The turtles had tails. Yeah, that's a tail. Thank you for pointing that it is a tail. That's a tail. The original turtles had tails. DCD Collects proudly presents signed, certified, and delivered. Each envelope has one 9.8 Sig Series comic book graded by CGC. These are hand-picked for you. 7 out of 10, my lord. It could take 6 months of being constipated before they die from the buildup. Not just any Iron Man. The Iron Man that saved us all.
in the box.
Doug! It's the captain!
And I gotta say, that shield was pretty fun to paint too. It's chunky.
It is chunky.
Chunky with the oil paint.
Yeah.
Call on me and collect with DCD. If collecting
I want more.
That's not true. He likes me because I'm loud and a brat and he can make me shut up later. Oh, I wish I didn't say that out loud.
Oh, the hits just keep on coming.
Stream so that I have a good looking head. When you say website, I don't think action figures. Thomas! Thomas! You and I need to have a conversation. You and I need to have a conversation because on the back is numero uno. I love this book. I love it.
Always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah. Before you get excited, that's a tail. The turtles had tails. Yeah, that's a tail. Thank you for pointing that it is a tail. That's a tail. The original. Hello. What's going on, Don? Crystal, Hellbolt, love you, man. Hello, Mel. Hello, Jimmy. I'm tired. Why are you tired, DC? God damn it. Oh, hi, everybody. So, the reason why you're always wondering, why do you never have your microphone with you in the beginning of the show? Despite the best effort to have my own office, I do all of my work from this desk simply because I'm lazy and it's easy. So in order for me to have enough room to do anything, microphone's got to go away. And that's part of the reason why I bought this beautiful arm, is so that I can put it up and away and not have it in my way. And boy, when I say I've been doing work, I'm tired. I'm tired right now. Like, I would love a shot of espresso right now. I would. It would be great. I'd feel great if I had a shot of espresso. But I don't have a shot of espresso. All I got is one of my favorite throwback drinks. Mrs. the Breaker doesn't know this. But on my way to work, I stopped to get more water for the studio as I was running low. And regular water, not soda water. And I found a drink that used to be one of my favorite drinks. I have fond memories. This brings me back to being 15 years old, 1995. We'll say that this was 1995, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then was gone from 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. And then right around 2003, I was able to find this drink again. And it is a drink that made up a big portion of my high school years. While I didn't drink it while in high school, we would very frequently hang out, my buddies and me, and we would go out, and this would be like the number one drink for us. And when I saw this sitting on the shelf, I was thrown back to 1995. I was thrown back to summers hanging out with my friends, which a big enough percentage of them are dead that it's kind of crazy. And just doing what teenagers do. And it actually got me to title this it would be in this corner if you're looking at my screen. That title right there, that is Throwback Thursday, because seeing this drink in the cooler immediately brought me back to some of my better times as a teenager. And it's a drink that I've actually mentioned on the show. And it's one that fills me with nostalgia of those hot summer nights, hanging out with friends, going out in the woods so that we could be loud and have bonfires and just doing the stuff that regular 15-year-olds do. It's a lot of memories here. My heart is filled with joy. To be 15 again. This is what? How? Where? Let me tell you a little story about this pristine Pilsner that is Labatt Blue. Labatt Blue is a Canadian beer. Labatt Blue was a Canadian beer, and growing up in Buffalo, in the greater areas, you didn't like a certain swath drank Budweiser. A smaller swath drank Pabst Blue Ribbon. But the sophisticates would drink Labatt Blue or Molson Canadian. Because Buffalo was one of the few cities where you could get a lot of that Canadian beer, because it was not a big deal for them to take it over the border. The shipping, I mean, it was literally made right across the bridge. So growing up, we always drank Canadian beer, which is a Pilsner. Hellboats, like my Canadian beer, was Sleeman's. That is a West Coast Canada beer. I do know Sleeman's. And then Molson came out with Triple X, which was an extremely high percentage beer. It was like 8%. Chris is like, sorry, I see Labatt Blue beer. You sell that at your store? Oh, now see, there we go. I drank a lot of Labatt beer through age 15 to 20. That's what we did as teenagers in Buffalo, especially if you played hockey. You drank beer, and you drank Canadian beer. Now, back in the day, admittedly, Canadian beer, 50 cents a bottle. Canadian beer was different than American beer. Was capped for a very long time at alcohol percentages, especially in border states. So you would go to Canada to get like a beer. And what's going on, me lord? Hello, me lord. Me lord, I am enjoying a nice Pilsner from the Northlands, from the Nordic territories, and telling stories about my youth. Thus, Throwback Thursday. Actually, it might be on the other side, depending on what you're using. I don't know. For me, it's over there. It's salute. Crystal, this is one of my favorite beers that is not like a microbrewer. Like, I love Stone. Stone is one of my favorite breweries. A lot of things that Stone does, I love. But of from where I'm from, major beers, this was mine, Labatt Blue. It's what we drank. It's what we drank as teenagers. It's what we drank in our late 20s, mid 20s. That's what we drank, Labatt Blue. So finding it was very difficult for a very long time, and it actually ties into the story, Crystal. So Labatt Blue is made in Canada, and we could get it because we were in Buffalo, and you know, I'm not going to say import laws are different in Buffalo, but import laws are different in Buffalo. Franziskaner. You sound drunk just saying it. Hey, give me a Franziskaner. Hey, listen to me. I need a Franziskaner. It's German. Listen, buddy. I need a Franziskaner. It's German. So it was available. Now, I actually don't know Franziskaner. Somewhere down the road, Labatt bought a brewery in Rochester. Sappuro's like, we're going streaking. What you don't know about Sappuro's is he has 4 monitors. I have 2. He has 4, and he has a little sliver of about 45 different Twitch channels, so that he can keep streaks on all of them alive, but he only actually pays attention to ours. Grew up in old Milwaukee, in Genesee. Oh, those old Jenny Pounders. Listen, Don, I'm familiar with the Jenny Pounders. That was also part of my high school. Labatt was so much better. Oh, listen, Canadian beer is so much better than American beer. American beer, I believe, is typically a lager. It's a lager. Canadian beer is often a Pilsner. Now, admittedly, the flavor has changed a bit in 30 years. But it's now made, I can neither confirm or deny, Picnic Lightning from Browers. What up, Carlos? Hey, Carlos, look what I got. Carlos, look what I got. Carlos. Cheers. Now it's made in Rochester. Rochester actually brews and bottles Labatt. I think it's still made in Canada. But they have a U.S. Brewery and distributor. So now, that's a brewery. No, they're available here. So this is my story. Now that it's made in America, it is more widely distributed. Now, I will admit it does taste a little bit different than what I remember, so I'm wondering if that's a U.S. thing versus a Canadian thing. So now I got to go back to Buffalo, and I need to get an imported Labatt Blue. Excuse me. I need to get an imported Labatt Blue, because this is not an imported. This is a domestic Labatt. It is tasty, though, and just the label, just holding this label next to my face, makes me feel like a kid again. I had my first beer when I was 5. It was a Genesee. I will always remember sitting on the nose of my dad's Corvette and him sharing his beer with me, because it's what you did in 1985. You gave your kid a beer, and that was considered bonding. Fast forward 10 years later, and it was me on the hood of my own car. Actually, at that time it was a truck. It was a Chevy S10. Drinking Labatt Blue or Labatt Blue Light, whatever we could get. At that time, so when I started working at age 15 in New York State, well, actually, it's not when I started working. I started working at age 12 on a farm, because you can legally work in a farm at age 12, and you can legally drive the truck at age 14 if it was on the farm. That's where I learned how to drive. But at 15, you could get working papers and you work for somewhere that wasn't a farm. Now, the place that I worked when I was 15 was a bar called Eddie's, who happened to have food. What types of beers do you not like? I do not like Hefeweizens. I don't like the wheat. I like the Blue Monk, like the
unfiltered Scandinavian beers. I'm not a fan of. I like things that oh my God, I like chocolate stouts. I like imperial stouts. I like really dark beers. I like my beers so dark that if the head is brown instead of white, I love it. Like a chocolate stout or an imperial stout or even a coffee stout. This is a session beer for me. I could sit and drink like 5 or 6 or 7 of these. And that's just like talking like today I'm going to have 3 and talk to you about nostalgia, thus Throwback Thursday. Also, if you guys are feeling frisky, there is a low dough, There Will Be Blood. That is just those football cards that haven't produced anything worthwhile really yet. But it's up there. I figured, something cheap just to get through me babbling about childhood and beer. How about sour beers? Are we talking like IBA, like bitters? I don't know if I know sour beers. I've had beers that were brewed with blood orange and pineapple that were pretty sour. My favorite beer is Blue Moon. See, Hellbolt. I tried Blue Moon. Blue Moon is not what I like. I'm on the opposite spectrum of Blue Moon. Now, don't get me wrong. I know Blue Moon is one of the best at what it is. I'm very aware that Blue Moon is very high quality for that style, and that style escapes me. Then you can tell me if you like it or not. I absolutely. I never say no to a drink. I have had Blue Moon, and it's a very, 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 very good beer. But it's not a beer that I can have multiple of. Now, listen, Hellbolt, by that same token, I can't have more than one, imperial chocolate stout. Usually because they're about 18% alcohol, but it's something you can have one, and I would sip it out of a goblet. I want it room temperature, and that's what I'm going to drink over the course of like an hour. Is when I have my chocolate stouts, my imperial stouts. When I would go to, what was the name of? It wasn't Brick Bar. It was right by Brick Bar. Hey Mel or Carlos and Don. Not Brick Bar, but it is on Allen. Not DBGB's. It was between DBGB's and the Pink. Cole's is the other one. So Cole's is where I would go on Elmwood. When I would go to drink on Elmwood, I would go to Cole's because I knew the bartender extremely well. And, okay, look, sidebar, let's write a note about the other one. Hold on. So I don't get lost. Go back to Allentown. All right, that's my note. It was the bar that was right by. Yeah, it was a horseshoe bar. Yeah, Mrs. the Breaker was at a horseshoe bar. We went there with Jose, and I think that's where we met Jose's son. I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, she remembers. So let's take a sidebar. Let's talk about Cole's real quick because it came up. That's awesome. I like to go after Buffalo following such a Blue Moon or a White Restaurant, depending on where I dig it. One-Eyed Willie's Wonder Emporium. So Cole's. This is everything I'm gonna say. Very good bar food. Cole's. This is everything I'm gonna say is true. Everything I'm gonna say is legit. I am no good with Buffalo bars. I only drank at PM Niagara and 4G's in Niagara Falls. I don't know either of those. Of course, I never hung out in Niagara Falls. And when I lived on Niagara, I didn't hang out where I lived. Cole's was literally listed by, I can't remember if it was Maxim or GQ. It was one of those. As one of 100 places to have a beer before you die. This is a true story. It's this little tiny place in Buffalo. Coles, the owner of Coles, who I don't know if he's alive anymore, he was a beer aficionado. Both I call it. Yeah, well, listen, they're rating places to have a beer before you die, so I am going to take what they're saying, Saporos. That is the place I'm going to go for the authority on having a beer before I die. Just saying, Saporos. Bought Maxim for the articles, got it. I bought Maxim because I had friends that were in Maxim. So Coles, the owner, was an aficionado. He was a gentleman who knew a lot about like really new beers. And not in like, I'm an alcoholic. I was like, no, he knew about the crafting. He would literally like could name and show like fishing trips of him from master brewers of some of the biggest microbrews. I know that sounds oxymoronic, but like Dogfish Head and some of the ones that are, everybody knows who they are that knows beer, but not everyone can find them. Dogfish Head now you can find everywhere. But back in the day, Dogfish Head was a no-name beer. I digress. So when they would make these microbrews, or when they would make these tanks, so they would be these microbreweries that literally would make one tank of a beer, and that's all they would distribute. So if the East Coast got 2 kegs broken down into quarter kegs when they would distribute it, because they do it by quarter kegs for microbrews, Coles was guaranteed, if the entire East Coast from Florida to Maine only got a couple of kegs worth of quarters, one of those quarters was going to go to Coles. Coles had something like, I don't know, 56 taps going at all times. And half of them were room temperature because that's the way they were meant to be. So I would go to Coles when I was running security at a place called JP Bullfeathers, which does not exist anymore. I'd run security there. At the end of my night, we would go, you can't get in trouble, for our after party. And the after party was often at Coles. You had to know somebody to get in because obviously it's illegal as hell to be serving alcohol after 4. But that's where we would hang out until 6 in the morning, just talking about our days and all the crazy things that we saw. On my days off, I would go to Coles because the bartender treated me really well. He knew that I like the really heavier beers. I like the stuff that just knocks your socks off. I would be drinking. He's like, this stuff is like literally $40 for like a 5-ounce goblet. He's like, this is going to be the most expensive beer that you've tasted, not made by Sam Adams. Because Sam Adams used to make that chocolate stout, the chocolate imperial, that was like $150 a bottle, and they'd make it like once every 6 years, and they'd switch out other inferior holiday beers in its place. So I would just come in and he'd be like, DC, which wasn't my nickname back then. And he would be like, I've got something for you to try. This just came in. Or he'd be like, this stuff is almost sold out. I told everyone it's sold out because you have to have one. That's the relationship I had with the bartender. It was also my duty to make sure that nobody talked to his girlfriend or bothered his girlfriend when she would go bar hopping on the days that we both worked. Very, very nice person. She was a bit sheltered, so she didn't like understand that guys were just going to be like constantly throwing themselves at her and stuff. So whenever she didn't go to Coles, she would come to JP Bullfeathers, and my job was to make sure that no guys went near her and tried anything stupid. So part of that deal was, and boy, do I have the beer for you. So I would do that. And we had this Stone made, was it called Leviathan? Or maybe Leviathan was a different one. Yeah, there it is. Boy, those cans are all new ones there. this was the beer that I drank. See that? See that on the right? That right there. That right there would be sitting and waiting for me. And he would have very little of it. And he would be like, oh, yeah, we're all out of it. If I didn't get a goblet, which, as you can see, it needed to be served in a goblet. If he had a quarter keg or an eighth keg, and I hadn't been by for some, he would tell everyone it's sold out. And then when I arrived, he'd be like, oh, and he'd pop the top back onto the thing, pull it, and that's what I'd have. That is what I would sit down, and it was like a stupid amount of alcohol. It was, I'm not exaggerating, like 16% alcohol. And it came out of the keg, and as you can see, literally the head is brown. That is how dark that beer is. It was almost the consistency of, I mean, no, because its consistency was beer, but it had a mouthfeel of like the consistency of cough medicine. Now that's not everyone's cup of tea. I get that, but that's what I liked. I liked just a big punch you in the face beer. I would drink Leviathan. I would drink Stone. Yeah. Let me see if I can find the Stone Imperial. Stone. Let's go with Stout. No, those don't look familiar. Milk Stout. Stone Imperial. Russian Stout. Dragon's Silk. That was another one. Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's it. It is. Stop it. Stone Imperial Russian Stout. Why? What is... I don't want that on my screen. You can't put that on this show. That's wrong. All right, show me a picture that doesn't have that. There we go. Boop. There it is. Another one. Big, dark, heavy, tasty. Tasty! Now, again, that is also adult me. That is me in my late 20s, early 30s. But if we're talking about my teenage years, now back to Allentown. In Buffalo, there are a handful of streets that are dedicated to nothing but drinking. One of them is slowly decaying, and that would be Chippewa. Chippewa used to be the party district. The party district was all the way back when Buffalo was filled with, gin joints and had prohibition tunnels underneath the hotels and bars. So that you could have a drink. And I know this because I used to walk through those tunnels from building to building when we were trying to. So it is, okay, if you own in New York State, if you own anything with a liquor license. Have you heard about Black Tuesday? I don't think I have. You can only buy alcohol from a distributor. It is illegal to buy alcohol from anybody but a distributor if you have hardware. Thank you, Mrs. The Breaker. That bar was called Hardware, and perfect timing because I'm going to tell the hardware stories. So back in the day, if you ran out of something, you couldn't just buy it at a store. You had to buy it from a distributor. It was illegal otherwise, for taxation purposes. So if we needed to borrow a bottle or buy a bottle from one of our other nightclubs, and the nightclub scene, all the owners knew each other, all the managers knew each other. Very few of us hated each other, but there was one or two bars that were just jackwagons, and we didn't deal with them. So we always had somebody like, hey man, I need a bottle of, I don't know, let's just say, I need a bottle of Stolio. We ran out of Stolio. Yeah, man, I got one for you. Meet me in the tunnel. They hand you a Stolio, and then one of two things happen. You either hand them $100, or you'd be like, I got your next thing, whatever you need. And then sure enough, 3 weeks later, hey man, I need a bottle of Kettle One. Oh yeah, buddy, I got you for that Stolio. Appreciate it. Let's go. That's how you did it. And we met in the tunnel, and those were the old Prohibition tunnels. 100% true story. Chippewa used to be, also true, gin joints and brothels. It was back in the day. A lot less so now. Nietzsche's, no, but Nietzsche's is another one. Now that the Pink is gone, I believe Nietzsche's becomes the oldest bar in Buffalo. So Nietzsche's, so there's a bar called Nietzsche's in Allentown. Nietzsche's is a music venue and a bar. It has been around forever. My aunt used to go to Nietzsche's back in like the 70s. And then Nietzsche's, the original owner got old, and the bartenders decided to buy Nietzsche's from the original owner to keep Nietzsche's going. So when you go to Nietzsche's, that tall gentleman and that woman that are behind the bar are actually the owners and have been bartending there for 40 years, 30 years, something like that. Go to time to see and One World Tribe. Sent you a picture. All right, I'm gonna look at the picture. But yeah, Nietzsche's is its own thing. Carlos is in on the There Will Be Blood, by the way. So 5 more to go, and we'll do that too. Where was I? All right, Instagram. No, I don't know that. Boy, it looks like a bottle of wine. Whoa, 20% alcohol. Yeah, that's up my alley. Limited release bourbon barrel aged imperial stout boasting an intense 19 to 20% ABV. Aged over a year in premium bourbon barrels like Elijah Craig or Heaven Hill. It features deep flavors of caramel, dark chocolate, vanilla, and singed oak. Holy Christmas. I would pour a goblet of that and I would sip on that over the course of an hour and have nothing else. That's like, I used to, long time ago, I used to smoke cigars. I was in cigar bars. I smoked cigars with John Travolta. I've smoked cigars with many people, and everyone would drink brandy. They would have cigars and brandy, and I was not a brandy guy. So I found these imperial stouts went really well with the Aston VSG Illusion, which is the cigar. The spiciness of the Aston made such good pairing with the imperial stouts that I would sip on the beer, smoke the stogie, and talk about taking over the world with my other minion friends. But yes, that is right up my alley. So, Hardware was another one of those places. Now, they didn't have a ton of taps, but they would get the obscure bottles. And there was an Imperial Chocolate Stout, or Imperial Milk Stout that they would get. And I want to say one of them was called Locomotive or Locomotion, something along those lines. And I would go there for those. And those are like, I'm not exaggerating, like $12 a beer, $15 a beer. Something you did not drink out of the bottle. But hardware, I would go when I worked at on Allen. Allen was a pretty easy place to work because Allen was where the locals went. If you were a local, you didn't go to Chippewa. The college kids went to Chippewa. The artsy people went to, and the visionaries and the pontificators went to Allen. Allen was where the cool kids went. Allen is where you wanted to hang out. But Allen's bars were very small and usually packed. And you could, some of them only really get in if you knew somebody or knew where the back door was, because almost every Allen nightclub except Nietzsche's or the Pink had a back door. Pink's back door was the front door. Pink, man, I miss the Pink. Pink was one of the coolest bars in Buffalo. They had a flat top burner, like stove, behind the bar, so you could get a steak sandwich and a beer at 3 a.m. And the steak sandwich was on a Schwabel's bun, which made it the best steak sandwich ever. And then somebody burned it down because they were bitter jerks. I still can't believe somebody would purposefully burn down the Pink. I wonder what happened to that guy if he didn't get murdered. If he actually did go to jail. At which point he would probably then get murdered if they jailed him locally. He like burned down a piece of Buffalo history when he burned that building down. Nostalgia. I need to go back to Buffalo. Mrs. the Breaker, don't let me talk you out of sending me to Buffalo again. King's Court. Oh, Carlos. I used to work at King's Court, Carlos. I used to do security at King's Court. King's Court was the first place I ever saw somebody get stabbed. This is a true story. Carl's like, you know my family then. I had been working in nightclub security for about 3 years by that point. And my bar had shut down. And they were like immediately poaching like other places, like, hey, I know you guys are closing. Listen, right now, name your price, how much to come work here. And it was usually like, you know, to depend between 18 and 22 under the table per hour. King's Court, I was there, and it was I know Teddy Maldonado. He would not know who I am, but I worked for Teddy. Teddy ran the place. So King's Court, was a banquet facility and nightclub. It was probably my third night working there. Don's like, I know Teddy Maldonado. Well, I would hope so. You know Carlos. Now, it would impress me if Pat knew Teddy Maldonado. They would have Latin night. Who doesn't know Teddy? So Latin night was the nights I worked, Carlos. And is my third night. I will never forget this. It is my third night at, yeah, you do Hellbolt. You know all of us, and we know you, and we love you. It is my third night working at King's Court. They're like, all right, dude, you got the dance floor. Is it my team leader, Teddy, or his father? There was somebody who would watch the back door bathrooms. There was somebody that would, of course, there was two people that'd be at the door. There'd be one person posted at the bar. Usually that was the head of security. I don't remember his name. God, is that where Big John? I think Big John was working there. I want to say Big John. He was. Big John was the head of security at that time. Big John is dead now. He was murdered in a home invasion. He was the one doing the home invasion. Big John, I was working for Big John, and he was paying me decent enough. It was under the table, so I didn't care. And he's like, "You got the dance floor." And he had signed the two guys at the door. He stood at the bar, and we had a person in the back by the bathrooms. And I'm standing next to the DJ, and I don't remember who the DJ was. It was a Latin DJ. And they're in the middle of a bachata. And I can still remember that I would never be able to name the song, but I know the beat of the song. Like, I could hear the song and go, "Oh, that was the song." Or, "Oh, no, that was not the song." And there's dancing. And I remember this big dude. He was, this would have been in like 2010, Carlos. 2011 maybe. Probably 2011. And there's this big dude, and he's dancing with this girl, cute girl. And the reason I know she was a cute girl is actually pertinent to the story, so there's a reason I'm saying this. He's a big dude dancing with this cute girl. They're dancing, and they're, doing their little thing, and it's, semi-slow. And I'm watching, and I'm like, "Oh, there's the floor. Okay, cool." Like, everything's chill. Everybody's dancing. It's a slow song. During the slow songs, the bouncers can kind of be like, "Oh, good. It's not Nuck If You Buck. I don't have to worry about a fight. People are dancing with their sweethearts." So he's dancing dead in front of me. And he's a big dude, and I remember this. I'm thinking, man, of all the places this dude could be dancing, he's dancing right in front of me so I can't see the rest of the floor. And he's dancing. And I turn to the DJ because he had like tapped me for something, and it was to get him a drink. He was drinking. It was a Corona, and he tapped me with the empty bottle and held it up like this. And that's usually to hold it up to the bartender so the bartender could see the DJ needs a beer. Which, by the way, DJs, it's not legal for them to drink beer at the bars. And technically in the state of New York, a bartender cannot drink either. It's illegal because a bartender is responsible for the patrons. And if a bartender is drunk, they cannot tell whether or not a patron is drunk. And if they overserve them, it is a $50,000 fine in New York State. I know this because I saw it happen once. Digress. So I take the beer, I turn around, I put the beer down, and I hear explicatives. And then the big dude hits me on the shoulders like, "Are you just gonna stand there?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "She just stabbed me." And I'm like, "Who stabbed you?" And he like pulls at his side. He's wearing all white, of course. He pulls at his side, goes like this, and he's just bleeding. Like blood on his hand. I was like, "Oh," and this girl, this short, how can I say this without being mean? She was, but it wasn't hard to twist the bartender's arm to do a shot with us. Oh, no, God. Oh, I never knew a sober bartender. Are you kidding me? I'm just saying it was illegal. All of them drank. All of them got, dude. I had bartenders that would get so drunk that they would pass out at the bar on the other side of the bar. Oh, believe me, I never knew a sober bartender. And then and this girl is short, squat, I guess is the best way to put it. She's Hispanic, but she has like bleach blonde hair, like poorly bleached blonde hair. She has this look of anger and hatred on her face. Her whole face is written with hatred. And like literally, she's looking at the guy, and then she turns and hands the knife to a dude who runs out the front door. This is a 100% true story. So I'm like, I don't know what to listen. I have been in clubs where shootings have occurred, and I knew what to do. I've been outside of a club where somebody was stabbed and came out, and I immediately jammed my thumb in. They all did back then have blonde hair. It's true. I jammed my thumb in somebody's knife wound to stop the bleeding. Like, I've done that before. Like, I knew what to do then. But the girl standing there, staring at the guy staring at me like, are you gonna do something? And me staring at the stab wound like, did this just happen? So I immediately was like, all right, he's fine. He's a big dude. She caught him in the side. I know my medical, I look like, okay, he's fine. It's all fat there. He stabbed him in the love handle. So I turn and I chase after her, and the dude with the knife already ran. So then I flag my guys to follow, and we all book it. We book it. She's running for a car. Folks, if you're in security and somebody gets to their car when you're chasing them, you turn and immediately run the other way because you don't know what they have in the car. I know somebody who was shot in the face because he ran up to the person's car after they got into it. The bullet hit him in the cheek, in the front, and it shot out the side of his head. Luckily, it was a small caliber, and it just bounced off his cheekbone. His name was Chris. But we ran, and she got to the car. We all stopped, but the dude was Dalton from Roadhouse. Literally, my nickname was Roadhouse. It's true. I had two nicknames. I had Roadhouse and RoboCop. Both of them began with an R. When I was working at JP, both others, it was RoboCop because I actually arrested somebody smoking crack in the bathroom. True story, I arrested somebody before. Technically, it's a citizen's arrest, even though you have a guard card in New York State. But it is an arrest. And they did take him in, they cuffed him, they booked him, and smoking crack and assaulting an officer. So I actually do have an arrest in my history. Technically, I have an arrest, and I also have a grand jury indictment in my history, as in not me getting indicted, but having somebody get indicted with my witnessing. That's a different story of another gun incident. So she gets to the car, but the friend that she's with did not make it to the car in time, so she drove off, leaving him surrounded by 8 bouncers. So the bouncers handled their street justice to that guy. And I went back in, and I looked at it, I was like, hey man, are you going to go to the hospital? And he's like, I'm okay. He's got cocktail napkins stuffed in the knife wound of his shirt. And he's like, I'm going to finish this and then I'm going to go. And it's like, this happens a lot to you, doesn't it? This is not your first rodeo. And I was like, dude, listen, I was a former medic in the military. You're going to want to get those out of there. Yeah, it's great to stop the bleeding, but those have fibers, and those fibers are now probably coursing through your body. And if those fibers get into your bloodstream, you're going to have a stroke. So please take the fibrous cocktail napkin out of your wound. He didn't listen. He left, but he's still holding cocktail napkins to his side. But yeah, King's Court, the one thing I remember about King's Court is that was my first ever stabbing that happened in front of me. Not my first stabbing I witnessed. Not my second or third stabbing I've witnessed or been part of. Never mind the been part of start. Pretend I didn't say that. But it's not the first time or the last time it happened, but it was definitely the first time that I was on duty, and the stabbing boldly happened right in front of me on a dance floor. That is my fond memory of King's Court. I have a story for almost every bar in Buffalo because strange things tend to happen when I'm around. Anybody want to open some stuff? I know Carlos wants to do some There Will Be Blood. There's other things to open. We're down to our final 5. of these. They still have not produced anything. I have to do my job too, you know. I can't just tell stories about bar life in the late 90s, early 2000s in Buffalo.
Go and have a drink, Lyle.
A little bottle of water.
A little bottle of water.
A little bottle of water.
Thanks, Don. I needed that. Those were the days. I was not a violent bouncer, which is why I got the nickname Roadhouse. I would always talk to people first, like, "Hey, man, you've had too much time to go. Hey, or I talk to their friend, "Hey, you don't want me to take him out. Why don't you take him out and then come back tomorrow? He's not banned. He's got to go tonight." That was me 98% of the time it worked. It was the 2% that made my reputation, though. Because even though I was the nice bouncer, I wasn't always the nice bouncer. I was very good at defending myself if need be. But I can tell you, my entire career, I never threw the first punch. I would always tell everybody, I have been punched in the face way more than I have punched in the face. Because first of all, I never really punched anybody in the face. You're a bouncer. You're supposed to be protecting these people. They're too drunk to know that they're doing something stupid. So just wrap them up. Don't, choke them or punch them in the face or knee them in the face like other people. Don't take out your billy club and split their skull like I've seen happen. Don't suplex them onto the sidewalk and crack their skull and make them a vegetable like I've seen happen. And definitely, whatever you do, don't push them handcuffed down the stairs so that they fall head first and die. Those are things you should never do as a bouncer. Those are all things that I know happened and know people that have either done or had them done to. Never a bouncer in their life, but did play one on TV. You're on Netflix, right? Hellbolt, our resident movie star, was a bouncer. I want to say he said it was on Netflix. That was the first time I ever saw what Hellbolt looked like. He's like, I am in this show as a bouncer. And I was like, I'm going to look this up. Like, that's a big dude. Trinket Season 2, Episode 1. There it is. Like, that is, I am not going to fight that guy. And thankfully, Hellbolt is one of the nicest, biggest-hearted human beings on the planet, and I never have to worry about fighting him. What? Oh, so all of the shipping is done. If you had something that was supposed to be shipped, it is shipped. They will go out tomorrow because I don't think the drop box is open tonight. Though I could try. Just remember, if you get in a fight, fight to win, not fair. Yeah. So, yes, if you are in an actual street fight, there are no rules in a street fight. If somebody is attacking you in the street, you have to assume that they are trying to end your life, because a single punch to the head can end your life. I know this. I know somebody personally who went to prison for punching somebody once, and that person died. This is a true story. It is somebody that I grew up with, and they caught, I want to say, 8 years for punching somebody, and that person hit their head on the way down and died. They got a manslaughter charge. So if you are in a fight, you should should fight to extricate yourself from the situation. You don't want to be in the fight. As a matter of fact, in New York State, you have a obligation to run, and you should only fight back and or pull your gun if you have no other options. Fun fact, in the state of New York, if you have a gun and somebody points a gun at you, you're actually supposed to try to flee first, and only when you can't flee are you allowed to shoot back. Yeah, it sucks. As somebody who owned a home in New York, I found out that I can't even defend my home. If somebody is on my lawn threatening me, I have to shut the door, and the door is a barrier between me and the shooter, and therefore I should not be able to shoot through the door. I cannot shoot through the door. Florida if somebody you feel threatened, you can shoot them, and it's perfectly fine, as we found out. New York State, not so much. So being a bouncer in New York State, a little more complicated than in a lot of other states. California, it's pretty tough too. California has a lot of rules for security. You cannot just be a bouncer. You have to be part of a security company to work in a bouncer here. We had a kid get harassed on the bus back in the field trip, telling some kid to leave him alone. Dude kept hassling him, moved seats, etc. Off the bus, kid tried to leave, got cornered, fight started. The bully kid got his arm broken. Kid that did it did not get in trouble. Good. They shouldn't. If you have done everything, and that is actually something that they will try to prove in court. I could probably yeah, because it's public enough. So there's a guy named Chuck the Shark. Chuck was a bouncer at a nightclub called Quote. I knew Chuck from 1999 and 2000 from Mayport, Florida. Chuck and I both worked at a gentleman's club as security for the same club randomly back in 2000. Fast forward 10 years later, I end up working with him in Buffalo. So Chuck, this guy is messing with Chuck, and the guy is hammered, and they're going back and forth, and Chuck picks the guy up and suplexes him. When Chuck does that, the kid lands head first on the concrete, is instantly knocked unconscious, and instantly starts bleeding profusely from his ears, which is never a good sign. This kid doesn't die, but he is now mentally challenged for the rest of his life. Chuck was sentenced to 6 years? I think it was 6 years. I want to say it was about 6 years. And Chuck's defense was, it was self-defense. This guy swung first. Here's a video of him swinging first. Here's a video of him, me grabbing him to pull him out and him turning around and punching me literally in the face. And the judge was literally like, you could have gotten out of the way, but you didn't have to engage him. But there was an entire sidewalk that you could have moved to. The fact that you went and grabbed him and picked him up and slammed him on the ground, regardless of him punching you first, is wrong. And he did. He got guilty, went to jail. That was a wake-up call for most of the bouncers, when it was like, oh, you're not allowed to do all that stuff in the movies. You have to, do the right stuff. Great for me. My brand was always talk to them first, be respectful. So my fee went up $3 to $4 an hour, because now people are like, hey, can you run security? I sure can. I can be the head of security at this place. I can be the head of security here on my days off, because I didn't do anything. I was a boring nerd. It was either play World of Warcraft or go bouncing and make money and get drinks. I got drinks and went bouncing. That was my fun. Yeah. And then Chuck got out, and Chuck couldn't get a job bouncing. Liability. What server did I play on? Oh man, dude, I don't remember. Be nice until it's time not to be nice. So when I played WoW, they had just brought out the dinosaur pets. And there was this one, it was like a level 1 or level 5 cave that you could farm these things on. And it had to have been, God, I don't remember the year. I had an unhealthy addiction to that game, and I always speak very openly about this, even though it's an embarrassing story. I speak about video game addiction when I talk about that game. But first, Hellbolt says, so when I declared that I wanted to not do extra work anymore and wanted to do some more acting roles and move forward in that field so I could get the SAG card, I didn't regret the decision. Just casting directors looking in a different direction, but I'm proud of myself for doing what I was. Yeah, absolutely, man. You want to get SAG. You gotta get the benefits are unbelievable. healthcare is widely known as phenomenal. But sadly, only SAG movies want SAG actors. And if you're a SAG actor and want to do a movie that's not SAG, you actually have to get a letter of permission from SAG to do that movie because you're in SAG. It's a very complicated tale. I was on my way to getting my SAG card when I was living in Florida, believe it or not, because it's easy to get it on the East Coast. You just need 3 pink slips, and if you have three pinks, you can get your SAG card. Here in California, it's a total amount of time or words spoken. It's a little different. On the East Coast, back in the early 2000s, all you had to do was work on a movie that was SAG movie in any capacity, and you can get your SAG card, or you get a pink slip towards getting your SAG card. Anyway, so I was so addicted to WoW that I was playing 10, 12, 15 hours on a rip. I would stockpile snacks next to the computer. I would drink 2 liters of Code Red, and then I would use those 2 liters as my bathroom because of how severe my gaming addiction was. And I've told this story before, and I don't care how embarrassing it is. People need to hear that it's a real addiction, and it can cripple you. So I had been wasting months of my life playing World of Warcraft. So these little dinosaur things came out, and I made it my mission to just farm these little dinosaur drops, which were like a 0.01 drop. And then when they did drop, there was like a variant in them, and they would sell for like 1,500 gold, some astronomical real world dollar amount. And that's what I did, just the same raid cave over and over and over and over and over again ad nauseum. I probably, if dropped into that with a mouse and AWSD, I could probably close my eyes and walk the line and know where the boss is. Then you curve around and there's like a nest and you kill it in the nest. After a few months of doing that and, literally having 2 liters of Wailing Caverns, I have blocked that game out. That is a huge trauma for me, Sapphoros. It could have been Wailing Caverns. I know it was a cave. I know it was either like 1 to 5. Yeah, a 1 to 5 level. It was very low level cave, but a very low drop rate. After months and then, literally having to sneak 2 liter sneeze. Having to sneak 2 liter of Code Red filled with urine, stale month-old urine, out of the house so that nobody saw it, and gaining weight at a pretty decent clip and having no social life other than work. I had a moment where I was like, I am going to lose all sense of purpose. My bed was next to my computer. I would wake up, and before I even had breakfast, I would immediately log on and start my grind. I would order food. I was in my mother's basement, my mother and father's basement. This is how bad it was. I would order food, and the pizza guy knew to deliver it in the basement. Like, literally, I would have the door, because nobody would be home but me. I would leave the door unlocked. I'd be like, just, door's unlocked, bring it in the basement, or door's unlocked, leave it in the kitchen table. And, like, I would order a pizza, and I'd be so hard, I'd hear him, deliver it. I'd hear the door open, and then like an hour would go by and I'd be like, oh, pizza, and it would be cold, and I'm like, oh, at least I got pizza. It was bad. The addiction was hard. Like, now I still play games. I still will do 5 hours of gaming in a rip, but I'm not doing a literal 15-hour. I would get the pop-ups, remember, help is here. Take a break. Blah, blah, blah. not long after that, I think they actually had mandatory breaks or where it would log you off. Or somebody told me later down the road after I'd stopped playing that, oh, there's like a mandatory thing where it pops up. It's like you have to, log off or whatever. And you can just log back on, but they made an effort. Stole a lot of my life, and stole a lot of life and money I didn't have. Only played it to please the girl I fancied. And I got to the point where I'm in a troll area where everyone's listening to Eminem and went, I can't do this anymore. Never went back. You were training to be an over-the-road trucker? Yeah. Come on, sneeze. I have another one. So bro's like, I can relate to this. It was bad, but I was very lucky that I caught myself. And I was able to figure out on my own that I had a problem. When GTA 6 finally comes out, I'm hoping to put in a 12-hour shift. That's different. We've been waiting entire lifetimes for GTA 6. But no, it was like affecting my social life. Now, I had a social life at that time when I had first started playing. Yeah, but doing it for you is different. No, they're not. They're not easy anymore. And I was literally like weighing myself, oh man, do I really want to drive and hang out with these people for like 4 hours? Or, man, I could just grind this. And can I get the motorcycle? Man, dude, those motorcycles are selling for a lot right now. Yeah, I need to get one of those motorcycles. You know what? I'll just grind out one of the motorcycles. And the motorcycles, if I remember correctly, they would come in parts, and you had to get all the parts to get the motorcycle. Sapporo's like, not the motorcycle. Wasn't it like you'd get the wheel? Yeah, Mechanahog. So Sapporo's, I'm not lying. It's a true story, man. You had to farm all the parts. Yeah. And I would do that. I'd be like, no, I need to get the wheel. I can do this. I just need one more part. I need to make this bike. And then at one point I had quit. Oh, I used to smoke, a long time ago. Just one more run. 2 hours playing for you fall asleep. And I was playing video games so much that I wouldn't even take smoke breaks. I actually started chewing tobacco again. When I was in the Navy, I had picked up the habit of chewing Skoal mint long cut. Because you can't smoke on a ship because explosions. So the machinists, we all would dip because we couldn't smoke. I quit for a few expansions. Some old friends wanted to play, just wasn't the same. Ended up quitting again. Good. Don't miss it anymore. I don't either. So in the Navy, a lot of the machinists would dip because you can't smoke and you're not allowed to leave the pit unless your shift is over. So that was a way for you to get your fix. So back in the Navy for a year or two, I dipped. And then I quit dipping when I got out of the Navy. It was disgusting. And then I found that I was playing WoW and I wanted to smoke. And I was like, oh man, but I don't want to get up. So I started literally dipping again. And it was at that time that I would have a 2-liter to pee in and a 2-liter to spit into. Because I wasn't one of those people that was going to gut it, as they say. And it was it was disgusting. I'm laying bare here. I'm not trying to impress anybody. It's a cautionary tale. And something happened where I knocked over a bottle. And I had to it was half full and I knocked it over. I was like, oh crap. So then I picked it up and I'm like, it was carpeted in the basement. So I'm scrubbing and I have the long cut, the tobacco is in there. It smells. Oh God, hold on. I'm going to dry heave. Just thinking about the smell. It was awful. And when it was me trying to scrub this out of a carpet, that I was like, I'm done. I am done. This is ridiculous. I am... Here's the kicker. I'm 30 years old. This is not what I should be doing. For the record, I'm 45 now. Do the math. And I've been married for 10 years. And I literally cleaned up the mess as best I could. I took the bottles, I threw them out. I logged into WoW, and I gave away like 3,000 or 4,000 gold. I was just walking up to level 1ers and be like, are you a Twink account or are you a new account? And if they said, oh, I'm a Twink, I'm like, oh, okay, no. But people are like, oh, I'm brand new. I would be like, here's 1,500 gold. Congratulations, you can buy anything and everything in this game. Back then, that amount of gold was a nominal amount of gold. I was just walking around, no, it wasn't 15, I was handing out like 250 gold. Just handing out 250 gold. Just, are you a level 1? Is this a Twink account? Twink, for those, Twink account is a secondary account that somebody has a high, like a level 60, like Death Knight, and they farm and they sell stuff and then they give the stuff to their other account. It's called a Twink account. I don't know if that is an offensive term. I know Twink means something else in the LGBTQ community. I don't know if that is an offensive term, so I apologize if it is. I say it out of ignorance, but that's what they called them. They would call themselves like, oh, this is my Twink account. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And I'm like, oh, nope, nothing. And I literally gave away thousands and thousands and thousands of gold. And then I just took all my gear off and was just like, all right, I'm out. Logged out, never went back. They call them mule accounts. And now they're called Smurf accounts. Okay, so I'm guessing that term became offensive. So I apologize for saying that. But that's literally what those accounts were called. So I'm not, yeah. Do remember, yeah, that's what they called them. And I never downloaded it again. Yeah, it was. That was like the nomenclature for them. That's what you called them. That's literally what they were. Literally what they were. That's what they were called. But I guess I can see how it's offensive, I guess. I don't know. Listen, I have a ton of friends in the LGBTQ community, and I hung out in some of the best gay bars in Buffalo. Shout out to Marcella's and the Underground and Cathode Ray. So I knew Twink is something completely different, and my Twink friends were like, I'm a Twink. Like, okay, look at you, you cute little thing. So that's how I knew it. But when people in WoW were saying, I was like, oh, that's that too. Okay, this is weird. I didn't know there was such a big gay community in WoW. And then people were like, no, this is what it means. I was like, oh, so there's two definitions. Okay, I get it. Level 19 Battlegrounds are wild. Man, I remember when I got my first Death Knight, everyone rushed to get the Death Knight because he had that chain attack to pull you in, and then just spam 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it was pull with 1, spam 2 through 7. Death grip, yeah. And that is when the game, like, it wasn't fun anymore. And when Death Knight dropped, and when the Death Knight, you know, when they were like, everybody gets a Death Knight. If you remember, there was a period, my WoW people, like, if you sign up a new account, you start with a Death Knight, you know, start with a level 55 or whatever it was. And you can immediately get your Death Knight. And that, I remember when they announced that and that happened, that promotion was there, and I was like, wow, this game really sucks. End game. Like they had no end game, so that was their end game, and it was like, yeah, I'm not doing end game. I'm gonna grind, and I became a merchant. My job in WoW was to sell stuff. I was a merchant. I didn't fight monsters. I didn't fight bosses other than the grinds. I didn't do battle. I didn't do any of that stuff. I was a merchant. I farmed, I sold, and then I took baths in piles of gold, like Scrooge McDuck. I, for the life of me, cannot even remember the name of my account or character in WoW. Yep, aka a goblin. That's what they're called. Yeah, I was a goblin. Man, I don't even remember the name of my account or character. Maybe No Angel 74? That could have been it. It was something stupid like that. Good times. So next week is WonderCon. Daniel Gonzalez is going to be with us at WonderCon. Daniel Gonzalez is going to have painted sketch cards. He is doing some gouache sketch cards, and he's doing some oil painted sketch cards. He is not, to my knowledge, going to be selling them through us. He will have them himself. I may help him post them, but I don't know. But there is going to be, and I know they are going to be between 50 and 100. I think he said his original idea, now this is not final, he wanted to do gouache for between 50 and 60. He wanted to do oil painted sketch cards for between 100 and 125, which are both really great deals. I can't show you the work that he sent me because it's unfinished, and I don't like to show work in progresses unless he says, hey, you can show these works in progress. But we are possibly going, I know we're going to do a couple of games with Daniel and Kate for drawings. Did he post some of them on Instagram? Okay, good. So yeah, was it the Superman and the Supergirl? I sure hope so, because I just said them out loud. Oh, thanks, Sapporos. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, then those are the ones that... The Superman, I believe, is gouache. The Supergirl, I believe, is oil. So they're different price points, obviously. Yeah, man, it was... With 10... Then he posted his table with 10 to 15 on it? 10 to 15. Oh, okay, yeah, he had some rough sketches. Yep. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that he posted that one too. Yeah, he has, he's going to be working almost solely. Oh, well, hold on. Let me check. Oh, there you go. Look at this. Oh, wow. I see Spidey. I see a Ninja Turtle. I see a couple Ninja Turtles. Hulk. Joker and Batman. Batman. I see Gwen. Yeah. That's very nice. Mikey. Oh, yeah, 2 hours ago. Yeah, I was here 2 hours ago, so I didn't get to see it. Very nice. Some of you may notice something that I never do. I never wear a watch. But Mrs. the Breaker was like, hey, T-Mobile's giving away free Pixel 4s. Do you want one? And I was like, no. That's, if something is free, then you're the product. That is one of the most intelligent things I've ever heard. If something is free, that means you are the product. They're giving it to you because you're going to do something that is going to make them money. And these watches can track your location, can track your voice, can listen to you. These watches are, if you don't know what you're doing and you agree to everything in the terms of service, then your watch then is now sending data wherever you are and feeding the companies they can sell that data elsewhere. Unless you live in the state of California, then it's a hell of a lot more difficult for them to do it because California has a lot of internet laws and tracking laws. And as a matter of fact, literally almost every single month I get an email saying, hey, you live in California, you visited this site, join the class action suit. And I have been paid out multiple times by companies who were tracking my data even though I lived in California. And you can't do that without somebody actually approving it. You cannot default in California to selling information. You have to request to sell the person's information, and they have to click yes because it has to be defaulted to no in this state. But I digress. For instance, thank you, D&D Beyond. I can talk about this because the settlement's over. Thank you for my 2004 Player's Guide, my 2004 Monster Manual, my 2004 Gear Guide, and my 3 other individual books that you gave me in the settlement. I accept your apology and thank you for it. Thank you for my book of everything. I appreciate that too. It's going to go really well when I start campaigning again. It's going to be a great resource. Appreciate that settlement. Google's got a big one right now in California. You'd think a California company would know that you can't sell information from Californians, but apparently Google did not know that. So Google has a big class action one. I am not part of that one because I did not live in California when Google was doing their bad stuff. But I am constantly like, you visited this obscure site. I'm like, yeah, I visited that to try to shop for a t-shirt. Oh, I know they don't care. And they're like, well, because you didn't buy anything, but you still went there, it tracked you and you can get this $8 check. And it's like, you're just going to give me an $8 check because I visited a site to buy a t-shirt that I didn't even buy the t-shirt? Sure, give me $8. And I then get $8. There's another one that just happened, which I can't talk about who it is because it hasn't finished yet. But they're like, hey, you went to this site and you purchased something. I'm like, yeah, I bought a couple of things. They're like, ha, you were tracked and your information was sold. And it's like, oh, okay. They're like, we need your PayPal because you're going to get money. And it's like, oh, okay. Here, lawyer, here's my PayPal. Thank you. Yeah, California has its perks. It's expensive, but, every once in a while you get free money just for shopping online. Just having your stuff stolen. Anyway, so I don't know why I try to use that when I literally have this camera right here. So I got it. Yay. It's so pretty if I can get the angle. I'm so fat my arm doesn't turn that way anymore. So there you go. You can look at my heart rate of 96. That's my healthy heart. Yep. I got my steps in there. I've never owned a smartwatch before because I don't wear watches. Keeps you alive. So that is actually why I'm wearing this one. Mrs. the Breaker's like, well, Fitbit is part of Pixel. So you get basically a free Fitbit and you can track your steps when you're at a con and we can check your heart rate and your blood pressure even and a whole bunch of other things. She's like, do me a favor. please wear it. So I'm wearing this for Mrs. the Breaker. I am not wearing it. Now, don't get me wrong. There's still a couple of cool functions on it. I'll never use 90% of the stuff that's on there. But Mrs. the Breaker's like, but if you get into a car accident, it'll tell me. If you fall on the ground, it'll tell me. And I'm like, do I fall a lot? How many accidents have I been in? Whatever. So I'm wearing it for Mrs. the Breaker. I'm actually excited to see how many steps I do put in at WonderCon. And yeah, I can also take the data and I can send it to my doctor if he wants to know, hey, I need you to do your blood pressure and heart rate for blah, 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 blah. And I can be like, actually, I can do that for you. I can give you my last 30 days if you'd like. So you're going to see me wearing a watch for now until I get sick of it. There she is. I love you, honey. Until I get sick of it, or until I get tired of putting it on and off, or until I inevitably break it. I've already hit this against things like 4 or 5 times. I don't know if you know this. I talk with my hands and I move around a lot. But I've already smashed this into a couple of things. Not a scratch on it, but it's only a matter of time. All right, folks, I think it's time for last call. I don't want to have another beer. That would be irresponsible, so let's do last call. We're just signing off. So thanks for joining, Kate. All right, folks, we already know where we're going. All right. It's a fun day. It was a nice trip down memory lane today. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed those stories. Hopefully I didn't bore you to death. I know I have 20 less people than I normally do, so I think the Throwback Thursday There Will Be Blood title scared some people away. Tomorrow, I anticipate everybody being here. So let's wrap it up and get ready for tomorrow. Folks, I love each and every one of you. I would not want to be any other place but here, with the exception of maybe having my family here with me and being here. The only thing that would make it better. And I appreciate you for appreciating me. I love you. Take care. Be safe. Take care of each other, because I want you here tomorrow. There's only 2 more days of me streaming before WonderCon. I'll be streaming tomorrow and I'll be streaming Wednesday. So I love you all. Let's get the last weekend of sumo out of the way. Peace.